It was the beginning of March 2020, and the world was about to change. The beginning of an event that would split families, create discourse, and even possibly challenge friendships. Wait, no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the movement to get Arceus, Dialga, and Palkia GX banned from Standard Format. On November 1st, 2019, Pokemon TCG released its newest expansion, Cosmic Eclipse, adding over 230 new cards, including 9 brand new Tag Team GX Pokemon cards. Some of these new cards were great deck additions, while others were just plain memes to use. But none of them stood out like the staple card for this set. Arceus, Dialga, and Palkia Tag Team GX, or more commonly referred to as ADP, quickly grew in popularity. This behemoth of a card boasted 280 HP, and energy acceleration with Ultimate Ray, but the reason this card quickly became a must-have for Pokemon TCG players was its attack, Altered Creation GX. Beginning in the Team Up expansion, Tag Team GX Pokemon had special GX moves that when a certain amount of extra energy requirements were met, the attacks had additional effects. While most of these effects were extra damage, bench sniping, and such, ADP's was able to change the pace of many matches within turns 1 or 2. Its GX move read, if 1 metal energy was attached, for the rest of the game, your Pokemon's attacks do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. This would easily put cards like the BanADP GX in knockout range. Now this effect alone was game changing, but if ADP had an additional water energy attached as well, when your opponent's active Pokemon was knocked out by damage from attacks, you would take an additional prize card. Now that the BanADP GX became an easy target for an Ultimate Ray to give you 3 prize cards, and that allowed matches to be decided quickly in under 6 total turns if the right combination of cards were played. On November 15, 2019, in its first debut during the International Championships in Sao Paulo, it held a 27% usage rate at the tournament and also netted the most championship points of any of the decks used at that event. Even with being released at the end of 2019, it still came out as the second most played deck for that year. But this becomes even more apparent if you look at the deck lists in December. You see, although it has an amazing attack, ADP is best used as a supporting role. And what was a better attacker at the time? Zacian. Released in the newest main series Pokemon game, Zacian V was officially released in Pokemon Sword and Shield base set to the Japanese market on November 17th, 2019. This card definitely had it all. Zacian V had 220 HP, its only attack was Brave Blade, which did 230 damage, and it had a perfect turn 1 ability, Intrepid Sword. This ability lets you power up your Zacian V almost instantaneously. With the release of this new base set, we also received 2 new item cards, Metal Saucer and Quick Ball. And by comboing these 2 cards with a card like Energy Switch, you could easily in turn power up an ADP for a turn 1 powered up Altered Creation. And so this duo would almost break top 4 in the final Japanese Championship tournament in 2019. But the rest of the world was taking notes and preparing for February 2020. When Sword and Shield base set finally came to the rest of the world on February 7th, 2020, it would truly shine in the Melbourne International Championship, where it came out as the most played deck, doubling the usage and points earned by Mewtwo and Mew Tag Team GX. This deck was a beast to be reckoned with. And on March 7th, at the Malmo Regionals, professional Pokemon TCG player Tord Reklev piloted this deck to first place. The popularity of Zacian-ADP, as it became known by, would surely skyrocket. But of course, where there are winners, there are losers. And earlier that week, the inklings of that hatred were beginning to spread. The date was March 3rd, 2020. And on Twitter, user Alice Voltaire was in a very creation trio mood this morning. In that same thread, she adds the Play Pokemon Twitter account begging them to please ban ADP. This is the first official cry of a movement, although a movement that would not start for another several months. With the world going into a full stop, many online tournaments began to pop up, and many Zacian-ADP decks started getting a lot more wins. People who didn't want to spend a ridiculous amount of money or booster packs to either pull or trade for Zacian V or ADP just to get a win went to Twitter to express their hate for Zacian-ADP. Some users even went as far as to call ADP unhealthy for the format. And with all this dislike for the duo, a movement was begun with a single hashtag BanADP, first posted on August 31st, 2020 by user Arlon142. People began to get behind the idea of banning one of the most popular cards in the metagame. And while so many people were discussing the idea of banning this card, they all sat in hope that Play Pokemon would make some sort of ruling. They had just banned Dialga and Bryson-Man from Standard on the 28th, so surely they could make a similar ruling for ADP. And then, on September 4th, they inadvertently gave us their response. The Pokemon Company was releasing a Zacian-ADP deck as a league battle deck. It had seemed that the deck was here to stay. But with all this continuing to go on, one tournament organizer had an idea. What if we had a tournament where ADP was banned? And so Hyperlux hosted the first ever #BanADP tournament, ruling deck lists with ADP illegal in its event. This led to other online organizers also trying this concept, and it quickly became a common occurrence for weeks to follow. Online tournaments would appear here and there, with this ruling of ADP being banned until the final event of its kind would be hosted on April 15th, 2021. With newer Sword and Shield sets having VMAX Pokemon with over 300 HP and even more powerful attacks, the popularity of #BanADP was declining, as well as the popularity for actually playing Zacian-ADP. Zacian-ADP and even other variations of ADP would still have good tournament placements until the end of July 2021, 2 months before it was expected to rotate out on September 10th. And almost a year after its release, ADP had gained thousands of championship points and thousands of dollars in prize money for players. Whether ADP was truly unhealthy for the 2020-2021 format depends on who you ask, and I'm sure it's a topic that will still divide players if brought up. But what everyone can agree on is that ADP definitely left an impact on Pokemon TCG history.